take a look at a couple developing stories. For that, I want to bring in Ginny Horne, markets correspondent here on the Schwab Network, co-host of Next Gen as well. Ginny, all right, let's talk Tesla. Tesla looks like it's on the receiving end of a bullish note and a price target hike here. What's the latest?
This is Dan Ives, of course, who's a longtime Tesla bull, but even this price target, I think, is a bit eye-popping given the fact that we closed at records last week for $36.30 a share, roughly, after gaining 12% last week. I mean, one of the best performers in the S&P 500, but now Ives is really betting big on the fact that we could continue to see some upside, raising his price target to $5.15 a share. That's up from $400. The high right now among analysts was $4.21. So also implying some significant upside and even above his price target previously by about 30%. So pretty significant there, but highlighting the fact that they continue to see Trump's White House in the next 4 years as a total game changer for the autonomous and AI story for Tesla. They did highlight their bull case is $650 a share by 2025, and they estimate that their AI and autonomous opportunity for Tesla at least is worth at least $1 trillion alone. They expect that to fully be realized under a Trump administration. They did say that these key initiatives will now get fast-tracked as the federal regulators spiderwebs and the company over the next few years clears significantly. They also said that Tesla could reach $2 trillion by the end of 2025 as their autonomous vision really starts to take shape, and that they're seeing very solid delivery demand from their Chinese market. Their price target right now, they said, conservatively assumes no value today for Optimus, and that could still be another major upside catalyst to share price. So amazing to see the way I feel like the conviction on this name has so starkly shifted. We had such pessimism for the good majority of this year, really until the election, once we heard, of course, who the future administration would be. I mean, Tesla has been on a rip. Elon Musk himself has gained, such substantial wealth since that election, and stocks up now over 65% since just beginning of November. So it's been definitely a story to watch, and definitely not one for the faint of heart, as if you held on to Tesla all year long, you know the pain of just that sideways to not, downtrending growth we saw again for the majority of this year.
And to be fair, even before the, kind of Trump bump, Trump thump, whatever you want to call it, to Tesla. Tesla had started to stage a recovery before that, and you started to see it kind of reversing course in terms of meeting some of the metrics on deliveries, et cetera. But not surprised to see Dan. We know he's been a long-time Tesla bull. I think that a price target increase makes sense. I don't know about 515. We'll see if that proves itself to be true, but it certainly has eclipsed that 400 level. But I always love the notes from Dan, because you can kind of hear it in his voice. Like when you said total game changer, I'm like, that is such a Dan Ives phrase right there, right, Ginny?
I know, they're always my favorite notes to read. Like when he was saying basically this was like you were late to the party. It's always some kind of party he's discussing, which is why it's good to read first thing Monday morning.
All right. And then you've got another note that you're watching. This one was a surprise to me. Macy's receiving an upgrade. And I got to say, I was actually at Macy's this weekend, and their inventory looks so much better than it has been in a while. I was there for, I had to get something in particular, but I actually wanted to do more shopping because of what I saw. But take us through what we're seeing here from this analyst. Okay,
and that is a very rare experience at any department store. So, that does kind of make you then want to spend more, frankly, when they actually have things in your size and a decent selection. Because, again, I just know from my own shopping that rarely happens. But Macy's a bit of a different story than obviously Tesla as far as its growth and its chart. But the note today was also pretty positive out of Gordon Haskett, upgrading shares to buy from hold, price target of $20, which does suggest about 20% upside from the current levels. Their tone on their current business trends, in Gordon Haskett's view, was very upbeat, which brings confidence the company can deliver a positive comp in fourth quarter. They also said this would be the first positive same-store sales result since the first quarter of 2022, but also that did highlight that much colder weather in the coming weeks bodes well for Macy's seasonal sales. They also do believe the presence of an activist does create a floor for the stock now over the next 6 to 12 months. So I think that's a bit of wishful thinking because, as we know, activist investors have been involved in names like Kohl's, for example. We haven't really yet to see that pay off, but I mean, I guess at least the added support and the financial maybe gain of having that investment. This name's down about 17.7% on the year. We have climbed back about 2% for the month, but all things considered, the Santa Claus rally has not really seen any hold. I mean, in Macy shares, we're still down off of just 52-week highs by 25%. And definitely closer to those lows, off lows by about 18%. So fell pretty substantially after earnings. We're trying to recover now, really the range that we saw prior to that nosedive. But I do feel like Macy's is one that in perpetuity, it feels like it's just stuck around like $17, $16 a share. Right now, fittingly so at Friday, we closed at $16.56 a share.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the thing with Macy's also is it has had the activist investor activity around it, and in some ways for good reasons because it's had some challenges, but it has some, some pluses. For instance, Bloomingdale's has been, one of its crown jewels, and I know there's some push about what to do with Bloomingdale's, especially when you compare it to how it's performed compared to its namesake stores. And then, of course, it also had, it has some things that's unique to its story that may separate it from the Santa Claus rally that we've seen with, overall in the market. Again, even though some of that leadership has still come from the tech sector. But was there anything else that came up in that node or from what you've seen about Macy's performance this year, Jenny?
Well, I will say that in the retail and apparel space specifically, it's been a very difficult earnings season. We've seen the emergent winners and losers very clearly. I do think, like you said, it bodes well that they have a luxury arm. I think that's sometimes overlooked. I mean, like Bloomingdale's Bluemercury, for example. Those have actually fared, I think, better than maybe would have been thought. So that's at least a bright spot going forward. And I also will say that there's still a slight lean to the optimistic side as far as the street's concerned. There's 15 analysts that cover this name, 4 buys, 10 holds, and 1 underperforms. So very neutral stance right now. The average price target is $17 a share. That does imply some upside. But I mean, all things considered, at least upside is to be had because you look at a lot of these retailers and the price targets imply, contracting price levels. So I think the fact that we're even still seeing growth from the street says there's still an opportunity for this company to improve. The turnaround story, though, has just been one that's been painful and slow to come to fruition for shareholders.
It has for Macy's, and it has been a difficult climate for retailers because there's been clear winners and losers here, and it's been, the more price conscious that have certainly been, certain price conscious that have been winners in the retail space. When we think about, for instance, Walmart, obviously I know it's a completely different sector, but even the luxury side has had some challenges. But again, a bright spot for Macy's today. It's got a thumbs up. Upgrade today. Jenny Horne, markets correspondent with some analysis, fresh notes on Macy's and Tesla. Thank you, Jenny.